Hi Tubies, here's Alexandra again, and welcome to another painting tutorial. Today we will have a look at a Plaguemarine from the Deathguard. This is here one of the easy to build Deathguard Marines. As you can see, I've already put him together, drilled out the barrel, and placed him on a base. So what you can see with the base here, what I've done is I've created it with the brick mold here from Green Stuff World, and with some sand, some pieces of sprue, and a little bit of gravel, we have a nice base. So first things we are going to do is well, prime him. And for that we will use a zenital highlighting prime. That means I will first spray prime him completely in black, and then I take a bright spray primer like white or wraithbone and spray once directly from above, so that all the upper layers are white and all the lower areas are dark and black. So I'll be back when this is done. Okie dokie, after priming the miniature and also priming myself, we have the zenital priming here ready. As you can see, the upper parts of the model are all now covered in white, and the lower parts are all dark and black. And here one little tip: after priming you have to inspect your miniature for stray cat hairs that might have snuck up on you, and here's for example one. Just pick him up with your tweezers and you're good to go. So the next stage, what we are doing now is well, apply some base color to it. And in that case, we use Deathguard Green. Give it a good shake. And then we take the color on our palette. Okay, there we go. And we will add some water to it. 1 or 2 blobs to water it down quite a bit. And then we take a trusty old frizzled brush. We don't need the fancy ones. So the watering down is here, so we can see the undercoat still after applying the paint to the armor, so that the parts that are in the dark with the black undercoat appear much darker than the ones on top with the light coat. I know this might look a little bit cloudy, but that's totally okay, because we will treat them a lot with other layers of paint after that. So, and don't worry if you get color on parts that are not supposed to be painted right now. We are dealing with acrylic paint, and so we can cover those things up in the future. So don't be worried. Give it a nice and light coat. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. So my goal for this miniature today is to paint it in a very dark and moody feeling. It's also called grimdark or blanchitsu. What's the difference between grimdark and blanchitsu style? That I will explain in my next segment after this all has dried. So I guess I have all the parts covered now, and I'll be back when this is completely dry. So Tubies, this is the stage we are in right now. As you can see, we have here now very dark green hues in the lower areas, and we have bright green in the upper areas. So we will now take our contrast paint Plaguebearer Flesh, and we will go over this now to increase the green tone. You can see how this is already giving this a nice sickly greenish appearance. And the good thing, the dark areas stay dark, as you can see here. That's the power of pre-shading or zenital highlighting. So, I will finish that stage and let that dry and be right back. So Tubies, this is how he looks after he's dry. And yeah, he has a nice sickly greenish armor now. And well, let's talk about a little bit about the difference between grimdark painting and Blanchitsu. Well, these days both terms are almost used interchangeably, grimdark meaning Blanchitsu and so on, but actually there are two main differences between Blanchitsu style and grimdark. Well, first of all, let's talk about Blanchitsu. Blanchitsu comes from the artist John Blanche. He is a famous artist working for Games Workshop for several years now, and he has very many concept arts and very interesting artistically styled concept arts for Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Fantasy, and now also Age of Sigmar. And his style is very artistic, very sketchy. His color palette, for example, is mostly browns, beiges, reds, and it's very muted and dark, absolutely. So an example for a Blanchitsu style Plaguemarine would this be. Here you can see a very muted, dark, and very artistically painted marine, not following so much the standard highlighting themes. It's more about the feel of the overall model, so that it is dark, it's grimy, and overall artistically. Where on the other hand, we have this Sequitor, for example. This is more a grimdark version. What is grimdark instead of Blanchitsu? Well, grimdark means that your miniatures look grim and dark. That means you add weathering, you add mud and dirt and grime and blood, and an overall dark and muted paint scheme, but overall it is a well executed paint scheme. For example, we have highlights here in the robes and shadows, also here the shoulder pads. The metal on the armor is well painted, and you're not so much in the artistic realm. Also, this marine here, it's a very clean paint job, but it is weathered and battle torn. So this would fall into the category of grimdark, but not Blanchitsu, because he's too clean painted to be Blanchitsu. On the other hand, you have a Plaguemarine like this. This is very artistically done with all kinds of greens and browns and oranges, and this is definitely a Blanchitsu style Plaguemarine. Where on the other hand, here you have a Plaguemarine that is again more cleanly painted, and still with battle damage and rust and stuff, and so this would fall into the grimdark category. So I hope you got now a little bit of a inspiration for your other nurgle stuff, and also your Blanchitsu style and grim dark style. So this would also be, again, Blanchitsu work, very artistic, very free, expressionistic painted, dark and grimy, rusty. This is Blanchitsu. Yeah, so let's get back to painting our previous nurgle marine. So, and what I was shooting for is this here. So let's zoom the camera back up. I have here this nice illustration of a Plaguemarine, and this is what I'm shooting for. You see the yellowish beige green tones, and I'm trying to mimic this here. Now we have here the darks and shadows in the lower parts. I've already achieved that. All the tentacles and stuff are in a semen color here. We will be going for that. And we have some muted gold tones or brass for the shoulder pad rims and stuff. So this is what I'm shooting for. And well, let's continue with this one here in our next stage. Be right back. So, what will we do next? I want to have a nice blending of dark greens to bright greens, but the brights are not bright enough for me. And so we will take our Deathguard green here and add a little bit of yellow to this. So, a little bit on the palette. Then some yellow into the color. Also some water. We want it quite juicy, moist, and wet. You see how runny it is? This is what we are aiming for. So, and the brush I'm using right now is here frizzly stippling brush, and what I'm doing now is to stipple this bright color on. It's a little bit too much on the brush, still too much. Can always adjust the amount on a paper towel. So this is actually glazing what I'm doing here. I'm adding very tiny amounts of this brighter color now to the upper portions of the miniature. And with the stippling motion we are fighting the pooling that normally happens when you apply thin coats of paint. It's actually quite easy to achieve. Just have not too much on your brush and gently stipple it on. This will take several coats actually to be really visible. So for example, this here has dried already here on the front, and we will go over it again. It's like applying a very thin transparent coat of paint over the surface, and so over time we will build up the effect that we want to have. Yeah, this is time-consuming work we are doing right now. Always tiny amounts of paint, moving on to other surfaces, letting those dry, and going over it again and again and again. I would say at least 7 times per armor piece. So also a little bit down here, but with an overall dark tone here, it won't affect the top layers so heavy like here up on top, because this is a transparent paint now with all this water in it. The dark will always shine through. And starting here on top again. So, I hope you get the gist of it. I will continue doing this now for several minutes, and I will show you the end result of the glazing process in just a second with the power of YouTube editing. Be right back. So, the green armor is now almost done, but we will continue with other parts now. We will use now Warblock Bronze to prime all the rims and metal parts. So just simply apply those. Quite easy to achieve. Just pick out all the metal parts with that color. See? Easier than taking a baby's lolly. So, next thing on the list is we will prime all the tentacle bits, and I'll use here this Catalan orange for that purpose from Scale Color. All the tentacles will be done in this, and the weapon I will prime in black and paint some of the metal parts also here in Warblock Bronze. So, yeah, be right back. So, this is how it looks now, and as you can see, I've primed all the fleshy bits and all the metal parts. And now we will continue to highlight the fleshy bits. I will now go with a 50-50 mix out of this Kalahari orange and orcish dermis from Scale Color Fantasy range. So mix it in. That gives a nice semen color. A little bit of water. There we go. And now we will just simply highlight, just like what we always do. Pick out the raised parts and go over it. So yes, quite a lot of those fleshy tentacle bits here and there. Be sure you don't miss any. Sometimes they are quite hidden on those Deathguard miniatures. And when you think, I'm done now, oh no, wait, there's another one. And then there's another one. And another one. So, yeah, that's round one. Now we will take the pure orcish dermis here. It's actually quite easy to achieve. Just here and there, a few strokes and you're done. And obviously with every pass you have to paint less and less surface so it gets faster. That's always the case when you highlight stuff. So, now we go for the final highlight, and we will add a little bit of Vallejo Game Color Rosy Flesh. To give it this nice pinkish tone. That's a little bit too bright, so let's add a little bit of the old color back in and some water. Let's see, yeah, that's better. That's better. Obviously you could go overboard with this and wet blend all the single parts here of the fleshy bits, but let's face it, those are Deathguard Marines. They are supposed to look a little bit ugly. So no super fancy award-winning paint job for them. Yeah, I guess we hit the sweet spot now with this flesh color. Really nice. So next stage is highlight all the warplock bronze bits, and for that first add a little bit of gold to the warplock bronze. About 50-50. Yeah, that seems about right. So we'll quickly go over all the parts. Just a rough pass. Leave a little bit of the brass behind in the recesses. So that we get an overall nice color transition. Oh, here I've forgotten to paint the upper rim of this. But that's okay, we can fix that in post. Like right now. And fixed. So I'm picking right out only the parts that are supposed to be brass, and not the parts that are supposed to be silver, like here the chainmail and stuff. Because those we will paint separately. Oh, there I made a mistake. There was a stroke directly on the green, and we don't want to have that. So, yeah, we fixed it. Better. Okie dokie. I think we're done here. So now we will add some weapon bronzer to the color to make it more bronze-like. Okay, there we go. And we only need to do this on the shoulder pad trims here, because the other parts are too small to have the color change to be a noticeable difference. And now we take pure weapon bronze. There we go. For the final highlights here on top. And down here. Okay. That's a nice and convincing looking brass. Okay. There we go. Hope you can see that with a glaring light. Yeah, next stages, I'll be right back. Okay, now it's time for our metal parts. So I take a dark metal color. And I'll quickly overbrush here the chainmail parts. Painting between those fly dangly bits is kind of hard, but achievable. It is achievable, definitely. There we go. There we go again. And here at the back. Yeah, nice. Also, we will quickly give a brush over here on the weapon. Oh, I have hit the shoulder pad accidentally with the metal. That was not my intention. But that's okay, we can fix that. It's not the end of the world. No, it's not. Definitely. Hashtag not end of the world. And here we have a stray cat here. Let's remove that. Okay, so let's just take again some of the brush color we have still on the wet palette, and ta-da! It's fixed. Yeah, that were all the metal parts. Oh no, the spike on his head needs some metal. There we go. Okay. This pustule here in the middle can also get this rosy flesh treatment, like that. Then some of the highlight color here, just like that, and ta-da! Okay. Let's also paint this pustule there. That was a little bit too much on the bottom there. Okay. Yeah. I also sorry about that. The 3 bumps up here. I've totally forgotten about them. Okay. Some of the highlight color. Dip, dip, dip. Dip, dip, dip. And dip, dip, dip. There we go. Nice and cozy. So, in the next stage, I will use a little bit of nurgle magic with typhus corrosion. Be right back. Okay, I'm back, and it is time for some nurgle magic. So, what is typhus corrosion? Typhus corrosion is a wash-like substance, but it has some pigments floating in there that are bigger than normal pigments in a wash, so it will leave a very grainy area. So, and with that we will pick out all those pustule holes and bullet holes here in the armor. So there are another ones. So you can drop in some bigger blobs. Obviously the water in there will vaporize and it will flatten out again. So don't be scared if you filled up the details with that. So there we have. Here's another one. And I guess that's all of them. Okay. Yeah, we will also use that here for the panel lines. But for that we need a second brush in our hand. So the second brush need to be moist. And you go a little bit like this. So in the one end you have typhus corrosion, you apply it just like that, and then you switch the brush and you blend it in. See? I show you again. Typhus corrosion, and then blend it in with a stippling motion. Obviously you need to wash the blend brush from time to time. But this is a very nice method. It's quick and easy. Yeah. Also, you can put the other brush in your mouth when you have more detailed work to do. So, for example, here the in between parts. There we have something on the tentacles. We don't want that. And there we go. And we blend it again. That's the secret. So, again down here on the feet. Not the upper part. I want to blend it in on the feet. Away from the tentacles. Yeah, and here you can see now the dried stages of that. And we can also take a little bit of that stuff and make some streaky motions downward. Like that. Yeah, and that way you can corrode up the miniature and weather it. Just be prepared to be not too sloppy with this stuff. This is very different from your normal wash because of its grainy texture. You can't just slop it on like a wash and hope for the best. No, you have to be very precise with the application. But when you blend it in real nice, it works magic. See? So now for the final boss stage. Here at his belly, big blob, and then with our blend brush we blend it in. There we go. Isn't that nice? Yeah. So, what I will also do is show you how this will look when we go sloppy with this. Here, directly over the weapon, that you can get a feel for it. How this will look. And be prepared, typhus corrosion will destroy your brush, so don't use your best and fancy brushes for that. it will eat away your bristles. No, not really, but the pigments in there have a tendency to very quickly gather up between the clamp of the bristles, and this way it will destroy your brush, so be careful with that. So if you use a good brush, only use the very tip of the brush to get the typhus corrosion. So I will let that dry and be right back. Okie dokie. This is how it looks now when it's dry. And now it's time to paint up the horns, and for that I'm using Mornfang Brown to base coat them. Like usual, a bit on the palette, tiny bit of water to have a better flow, and then just simply base coat all the horny bits. I was tempted to make a joke there, but I didn't. So please forgive me. If you have a joke to tell, please leave it in the comment. So, now on the shoulder pad. And I guess that's all of them. I hope so. Yeah, that's a horn too. I painted it brass. But it's a horn. And somewhere down there in the... Down there, you see this little pokey bit there? I think I'm not sure if I can reach it well with the brush. Let's see. From this side, hard to reach, but yeah, I did it. I did it! Yeah, wonderful. So now we will highlight this. We'll use some bleach bone or skeleton bone color for this. Just simply mix in a little bit. The first coat. Swoop, 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 swoopity whoop. Swoop, swoop, swoopity whoop. Bleep blop bloop. That's no witchcraft. It's quite easy, quite fast to achieve. Okay, now a little bit more of the bone color. A little bit water. Dum dum dum. And I think that's enough for the horns. We don't need to go totally overboard with them. Well, maybe. One more coat with almost pure of the bone color for the very tip. Yeah, the detail work on the miniatures is the stuff that takes the longest time. Okay, that were the horns. Now let's go for the eyes. So we will paint them in a red-orangey kind of way. So let's grab 3 colors: a red, an orange, and a yellow. So we will base coat them in red. There we go. So now we take the nice bright orange fire here. And we paint, so now you have to choose in which direction you want to apply the highlight. There is a way to make it to the lower right, to the lower left, to the upper or lower part. So I decide I will go downward. So paint the lower third of the eye with the orange, like that. Now we take the yellow, mix it in with the orange, 50-50, and we paint the lowest quarter of the eye, like that. See? And now we take pure white, tiny itsy bitsy tiny dot, comes in the top spot here, there and there. See? Now we have a nice red lens as eyes. So, since we have the orange out here, we can quickly grab that, make it a little bit more liquid, and apply it at random spots here around the chainmail to make it nice and rusty. There we go. We can also apply that to random spots here and there at the weapon. Yeah. And I think our marine is done. Only thing left to do is paint the base, but I won't show that here in the tutorial. But overall, I'm quite happy with the result. Ta-da! This is our finished Deathguard Plaguemarine. I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you want to see the finished miniature of him with finished base, just check out my Instagram. There he will be posted in the near future. And, well, check out our Discord server, where you can, well, show your own works and have a community there to help and support you. If you have any questions, painting related, go there and you'll find help, definitely. So, I hope you liked this little tutorial, and we see us in the next video. You're Alexandra.